So leaders that are really effective, and those leaders that go on to achieve successive promotions, to drive high-performing teams, those founders that find ways to grow their businesses, they often have many things in common. And one of those things I find as an executive coach I'm always really impressed with my clients on is their ability to sort of effectively know themselves. So they invest energy and interest in really understanding themselves and how they tick. And I think it's something that's worth sort of passing on. So a model that can be very useful is this model called the iceberg model. And for those of you who haven't maybe heard of that before, I'll just explain it briefly. So if you think about your identity as a person, you think about who you are. One of the ways you can try and simplify that is to think about this concept of an iceberg. So imagine an iceberg, you've got 9/10 of it sort of below the water, there's 1/10 sort of sticking up out of the water. And the bit that you can see, the bit of the iceberg you can see, that's effectively your sort of behaviours, your skills, your competencies. It's the visible things that people can see about you. And at the top of that iceberg, the very pinnacle, is sort of like the performance. It's the outcomes you get. So your outcomes, your results sit on this sort of it's this very visible set of competencies, behaviours, skills. And often leaders get very focused on, they want to achieve a certain outcome or result, and so inevitably they go, okay, what are the skills, the behaviours, the sort of the competences they need to build. But as you do more work on yourself as a leader, so as you invest more time to understand yourself, you recognise that there's a lot more going on below the surface. And I guess that this waterline of the iceberg is really just describing the stuff that's known to you, that's obvious, so what's above the waterline, and then what goes on below the water. And 9/10 of an iceberg is below the water. So it really makes you think as a leader, okay, do I need to really understand some of the more sort of subtle, less obvious, maybe less conscious things about who I am as a person? So you tend to find that in a coaching relationship, leaders start off maybe exploring some surface level things. They're talking about behaviours, competencies, skills, there's results, there's outputs they want. But inevitably in the coaching conversation, leaders find themselves directing the coach to go deeper into some of these things below the waterline. So what sits sort of below the water? Well, below the water, you'll come across things like personality. So there'll be a set of personality traits, you'll have certain preferences, you'll have certain mental models, certain assumptions and beliefs about the world that you've constructed through your life. And those have a big impact on the behaviours and competencies that sit above. So again, exploring your preferences and your personality can really help you then understand how can you best leverage those skills and sort of behaviours you have. In some cases, it's about maybe remodelling. So maybe you've got a belief or an assumption that maybe is no longer serving you well. So it's a way to explore those mindsets, those mental models. And also, while personality is something that we all carry, you can develop your personality. You can, with work, change elements about your personality, and your personality will naturally sort of evolve over time. So tuning into your personality, your preferences, your mental models allows you to have a better control over your skills and behaviours. And if you really want to get good at a certain skill or behaviour, you've really got to also address the mental model that sits below it. So nothing really changes until you change your sort of your mind or your beliefs. Then the behaviours will often follow. And if you go even deeper, what sits below personality, well, then you're into really sort of your innate drivers, your value systems, your motivators. And the research tends to suggest that a lot of this is genetically inherited. So you are a product of your parents. So understanding your parents will help you understand yourself. It's where you get your energy and where you get your sort of value system from. So a lot of this stuff, if it's not genetically inherited, will be built and probably hardwired in your early childhood. So it doesn't mean, again, it can't be developed. It doesn't mean that through life-changing experiences, your values and motivations can change over time, but it is almost at the core of who you are. And therefore, again, to be a sort of an authentic leader and really to be able to connect effectively your values, your drivers, your personality and your behaviours. Understanding those layers and then finding a way to authentically connect them. And often leaders recognise that the reason why they may be struggling sometimes is they're not connected, they're not authentic, they're trying to be a different person at one level to the person who they really are. So coaching is by definition an exploration where you might start out looking at an opportunity in terms of a goal, and you're really coaching almost a performance sort of matter, but actually inevitably you really end up really coaching the whole person. And I find that leaders that are willing, they are courageous, they are vulnerable enough to go deeper into those personality and those driver type conversations, inevitably find a lot of value. And there's a lovely quote from Joseph Campbell that says that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasures that you seek. And I do feel that the exploration into more of the personality and the drivers, although it can be more challenging and it requires a lot of psychological safety between the coach and the coachee, and it's a real privilege for the coach to join a coachee on that sort of journey. That's where massive value can be derived. And again, my experience of coaching senior executives is that the people who are very, very successful are generally very tuned in to those three levels. So hope that helps, and if you want more information on the iceberg model or some of these things we've talked about, then please reach out, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.